या थैंक यू। नमस्कार। आज 12 अप्रैल 2026 को डॉक्टर KKSEFI एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट की इस राउंड टेबल में हमारे सभी एक्सपर्ट मेंबर्स का और जो व्यूअर्स डॉक्टर के अग्रवाल जी के यूट्यूब फेसबुक पेज जोड़ने का सबका स्वागत है। और जैसा कि सब लोग जानते हैं, ये हमारी जो राउंड टेबल है एनवायरनमेंट के एक्सपर्ट्स की, ये संडे को होती है। और हम लोग कोशिश करते हैं कि कुछ न्यू एरिया न्यू सब्जेक्ट्स पे इस पे डिस्कस करें। और अवेयरनेस के साथ साथ हम लोग भी ये रहते हैं कि जो जो भी गवर्नमेंट ने गाइडलाइंस और नोटिफिकेशन इशू किए हैं, रूल्स इशू किए हैं, उनका थोड़ा सा अपडेशन भी रहे, हम लोगों को भी रहे, और जो हमारे व्यूअर्स हैं और उनको सबको जो है अवेयरनेस हो, इसी पर्पज से ये। और आज का जो हमारा टॉपिक है, दिस इज द गाइडलाइंस ऑफ एंड ऑफ लाइफ सोलर वेस्ट विच इज इशूड बाय सेंट्रल पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड। दिस इज द अपेक्स बॉडी ऑफ द पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल फॉर द इंडिया। Recently, the CPCB issued these guidelines end of life solar waste in the March 2026, last year, last month, that was it. So I'll just some background and also the some background of the guidelines, then we'll discuss with the experts. You all know that India has very tremendous potential for the generation of clean energy through renewable sources, renewable energy sources, including solar, wind, hydro, and the others. At present, cumulative installed solar capacity of India is about 150 gigawatt. This is the ranking third in globally. That was it. So we have the very good in the solar power generation. That was it. You all know that before even the year 2010, there was near zero solar power generation. So just like 15, 16 years where we reached to 150 gigawatt. However, before 2010, solar power heating system, including solar water heater, was the major focus area, and including in Delhi. In 2010, government launched the Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission with the target of the 20 gigawatt by 2022, which was revised time to time. And now, I mean, we targeted only 20 gigawatt by 2022, but now the present solar installed solar capacity India is about 150 gigawatt. So we are far ahead with the, I mean, that was the so good, very good progress that was the. The key drivers for the growth of solar power generation in India include like solar park scheme, lot of, private players coming to the particularly different states like Rajasthan, or Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, bigger, they have the Karnataka, they have the all good, particularly bigger corporate groups are coming for the solar park and other installation. Solar park scheme, then particularly PM Kushum for farmers. This is the for the farmhouses and field farmer fields, that was the. Then PLI scheme for domestic manufacturers, and also the PM Surya Ghar schemes and others, that was the. And with this PM Surya Ghar scheme, nearly 24 lakhs household adopted rooftop solar power under this PM Surya Ghar Yojana, and government giving the huge subsidy, including the state governments. Even when I was in the Delhi government, I was holding the additional charge of the renewable energy in Delhi for about 3 years. So initially that I was there as executive officer of the this renewable energy center for the Delhi government. And that time the solar power cost, levelized solar cost per unit was the around 18 or 19 rupee, that was, which come down to like less than 3 rupees, that was. So I mean big change, that was it. So the all states were providing the subsidy and the central government, and now the PM Surya Ghar Yojana has reached to the almost more than 20 lakhs household in India. That was it. India also founder member of the International Solar Alliance and also heading the alliance. So this was the big achievement for India for moving towards the solar power generation. So keeping in mind the generation of huge quantity of live solar waste, because we have the currently 150 gigawatt solar power generation and is increasing day by day. So keeping in mind this such a huge generation of solar end of life solar waste, CPCB issued draft guidelines last year sometime in June, and now finalized this issued the guidelines for the storage and handling of the waste solar, like including solar voltaic modules, panels, cells. This is issued under e-waste rules, and this is guidelines issued in March 2026. So that was the guidelines was the basic for the basis for the issuing guidelines. The guidelines, particularly the management of the waste solar जो photovoltaic modules or panels or cells are, they covered under the chapter 4 of the e-waste management rules 2022. E-waste management rules was revised many times. So though finally the e-waste management rules were issued 2022, superseding the earlier rules. So under which these rules, chapter 5 covers the solar this waste, particularly solar photovoltaic modules, panels, cells, and all that. Where the all the manufacturers, producers, and the recyclers have been assigned responsibility to ensure the compliance with the solar rules, set rules. These include the registration, storing the waste, or the PV modules or panels or cells up to the year 2034-35. That was because normally it was considered this the waste will like a huge waste will generate by under by the year 2034-35, because a 25 years period is given. So maximum installation start from 2010. So that was the focus here, 2034-35 onwards. Like then other provisions of rules were also included for the compliance by the producer, manufacturer, and recyclers. That was it. The new this CPCB guidelines also are basically intended to provide technical guidelines, because rules are already there, where the transport, handling, and storage of solar waste in very environmentally sound manner, which shall protect the health and environment. That was the focus, because how to, particularly how to store, how to transport, and things like. The solar panel, we all know, consists of the many components, which are some are recyclable, some are non-recyclable material, and which include glass, plastics, aluminum frames, silicon wafers, and metal like including very heavy metals and hazardous metals, metals like copper, silver, lead, cadmium, tellurium, gallium, arsenic, tin, etc. These were the metals also used for that. So as per these guidelines, solar waste shall not be disposed of or dumped in the open area. That was for like for other waste, or it may result into release of the very toxic chemical into the environment. So that was the focus should not be dumped like used to be a municipal waste. Now it is also very serious concern for the all city government to have engineering landfill site and all that. So solar waste also, it should not be dumped in the open area or hill area. That way. The solar waste also intended for recycling, so that was intended for recycling, shall only be given to the authorized registered recycler of the e-waste. That was because the e-waste recycler has been registered. However, in case of collections and storage of the solar waste, the same may be handed over to registered producer or manufacturer for maybe they may be like reuse and for the remanufacturing, something like that. Then transportation of the solar waste shall be done in the covered trucks. That was the very, just like other waste. Storage of solar waste shall be done in a manner which does not lead to breakage of the waste collected and in safe handling and of such products. The covered shed or the space shall be used for the storage of solar waste, because we have to store up to at least 2000, if not recycling being done, 2034-35. The solar waste shall be placed in a dry environment and in where we will ventilated area. Considering the leaching potential always in the metals and all that heavy metals and other chemicals, uh, particularly for floor area for storage of solar waste shall be non-leachable and impermeable to prevent contamination to groundwater or soil. That was it. And disintegrated or broken solar panel waste shall be stored separately in a rigid, stable, and water resistance container with the proper labeling on all that. But these should be so that people know that this is the broken and that bhaji, and or leach it and be handled carefully. That and the storage areas shall have the like fire protection system normally, because this is also influent waste that bhaji contain, so with adequate fire arrangement, and all like personnel involved for handling solar waste shall be provided with the all appropriate gadgets like PPE wears, and including gloves or safety footwears, eye protections, respirators. So this will be for health of the workers involved there. So these are the some of the points. Though guidelines very, I mean, not very big guidelines, very just to start with the, maybe this is version one, so it may be revised. So with this background, I tried to summarize the things like, but we have all the experts here who are handling waste, particularly have present here, Sanjeev Kumar ji, Khandelwal ji, who is a whole life in the handling the waste type of ji. They are, I can say waste to wealth person, that Vaji, I can say that Vaji. So because their focus area is to now to from waste to the towards the wealth circular economy. So I'll start today with Sanjeev Kumar ji, that Vaji. So I'll request Sanjeev Kumar ji, because he is in RE sustainability and earlier also CPCB, and now for so many years in the RE sustainability and RMK. So I'll request Sanjeev Kumar ji. Over to Sanjeev Kumar ji.
Thank you, sir. I think you have given a very broad overview of the regulation and have covered most of the items which the intention of the government of India through this regulation, they are trying to do it. It is true that we are at the just a beginning of a very big, equally very big problem coming up through the solar waste. With the kind of energy dependency and import dependency for anything, and with the potential that India has in terms of availability of solar power, energy from the solar waste has been considered as one of the very important recovery of energy or substitute of energy in the form of solar energy. And that is how the government of India has set a target of 144 gigawatt of power to be established by as of now, and maybe to go up to around 500 gigawatt of power coming by the next 5 years, that is 2030. So when this is the when this is the generation potential, and the push by the government is very high, that it has reached to almost every nook and corner of India, and common areas in villages are also having solar lamp installed through different policies by the local village panchayat funds. So one or the other way, maybe around 2030 to 2035, there will be waste coming out for those which were installed or about 20 years. There will be minimal waste coming out of it, but then India will start seeing that what kind of uh, problem it may lead to. And parallelly, I would like to link it to the other regulations or compliances coming with the other waste, whether it is municipal, hazardous, e-waste, or any other waste which is coming up. The dumping grounds are under strong vigil, and the compliances are actually being talked about, though there is a much more enforcement required. So with this enforcement and with this kind of waste, the solar waste will be very visible, and it will either lead to markets which are unorganized or dumping grounds. The composition definitely in the solar waste, the maximum is glass, followed by silicon, some critical minerals or precious minerals, metals, and some photovoltaic cells. So these are general, wherein glass is roughly to the tune of 70% or 65 to 70%, followed by silicon or plastics, and then the other ones. The composition, while if this is not properly managed, there will be a lot of leachate coming out, and definitely there will be certain heavy metals which will be hazardous in nature. So management of this is very critical as of now. If we look into what is required to be done, government through this guideline and through the EPR has tried to brought in a mechanism to to ensure that the producers are accountable, and the handlers, all the processors are actually putting it into the online portal so that the loop gets closed. But with the loop getting closed, the bigger challenge in this particular any waste problem or any such thing is there is a requirement of how the logistics approach, how with the material gets aggregated, how it is handled, and where is the infrastructure to recover, to dispose, to treat, and revert back into the circular economy, the precious metal. So these are 3, 4 challenges. If we don't do it, if we don't address this, and if the government or the entrepreneurs do not come forward with a proper mechanism, then this becomes a bit unmanageable thing. Having experience for so many years as in India, that we have been able to handle biomedical very effectively, followed by hazardous, and to some extent municipal solid waste. It is a point that today we should be in a position to set up infrastructure, put towards the policy, that this policy and the infrastructure is able to cater both the generators problem, because tomorrow the generators have a target which was not there, and this guideline came in 2022. It was again further put to redraft, which is yet to be finalized and published, wherein some improvements have been there. Right now, it is being put mainly under e-waste rules, but we have to understand that a very small portion of the whole solar waste comes under e-waste. Glass and silicon does not even come under either of the. It may fall somewhere in the form of hazardous waste, but it is not hazardous per se if it is not mixed with other waste. So what should be done? We know the problem. We know how the problem as a country it can be solved. We also know that there is an infrastructure requirement to handle both the collection, both the as an aggregator, both the pre-processors, and then recover or treat the waste. So this infrastructure push is required both by the government as well as the private players. The challenges obviously lies a big one, but then if there is a proper push, then this will become this can lead to a solution. The most important component comes is that how we have to reach this waste, and how this waste gets captured at a point of the time, maybe say suppose 10 years down the line, that is 2034 or 2035, is that how it gets collected, how it gets reached to the proper recovery mechanism. So with this, sir, I would like to open up that there is a intent is there is a solution, there is, we all know, and logistically, if we see, Rajasthan contributes to roughly around 25%, followed by Tamil Nadu, followed by Andhra, and a few other states. But these are all, when it is recorded in the papers or the theory, they are taking about institutional solar power generation. Nobody is talking about individual solar power generation. And nobody is talking about the distribution of the solar power in the rural areas. With diesel and the kind of war conflict going on in the present scenario, tomorrow there will be, and not when I mean by tomorrow, it is just like a few months or maybe within a year, the entire pumps will be now converted into moved from diesel and electrical to solar power. So the kind of waste which is expected to be generated, maybe right now it is being told in one of the papers to be around 34,000 tons, and it may go up to around 5 lakh metric tons by 2040. These numbers, either the dates have to be preponed or these numbers will go up. So this is a important thing because of the current war crisis or energy crisis which every country is now passing through. And we, in the, if you read the first tenure of the present government, they had already formed a solar cell, SCCI, Solar Energy Corporation of India, wherein the focus was there. Definitely, it will now lead to an impetus and push by the government to generate more power. But one side, it is very good to have more power generation from the solar energy. But at the same time, the infrastructure required is high. No entrepreneur, no private player, or no financial will come until and unless until and unless there is an infrastructure push to this waste management of the solar, and until and unless there is an assured that ki feed stock is there. Last not the least, all this is being talked about that they do contain very good precious metals which can be recovered. But the recovery of the precious metals are extremely very costly. But yes, there is a huge potential in that. With that, sir, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sanjeevji. I think you have very well covered and what should be the government policy to change the particularly timing and for the because huge quantity going to definitely that is the because guidelines I have seen very generic, very simple that was the but particularly the quantum of waste and this is maybe version one that was the and what I think suggestions will come from the all the kind of the who handler waste handler and things like and there will be guidelines will be improved. But I'll now request the Khandelwal ji. You have seen the different guidelines of the all kind of waste that Bhaji. And these guidelines and those covered under EVS rules and some guidelines. But I think practically, I mean, this maybe future second version or third version may be improved. So, what are your views about the guidelines and what the Sanjeevji said and the particularly how can this implemented that may not be now but maybe future because huge quantity of waste will be generated that over to Khandelwal ji.
Thank you, Anilji. I'm surprised to read this guidelines. I'm unable to understand for whom it is prepared. Can anybody can tell for whom it is prepared? For me, for Anilji, for Sanjeevji, for Ravinderji?
I think maybe for the just to have a guidelines that was because there were no guidelines earlier.
The guidelines is for the stakeholders.
Yeah.
Who are the stakeholders? It is not mentioned ki if I'm a say collector of the solar waste, what should be my capacity? How I will estimate the things? There is nothing in the guidelines.
Yeah.
I can't say these are the guidelines. They have said it causes, everybody knows it causes environmental and health risk. What are the environmental and health risks not given in the guidelines? If, see, whatever way I will do the collection, transportation, storage and all those things, there may be some chances of mishap. What are the provision to be taken if some mishap is taken? Sanjeev ji was telling that the leachate will be very this thing dangerous for this thing. So if some leachate took place, there should be a provision in the guidelines. If this at all happen, then this should be the precautions should be taken. Nothing is mentioned. It's simply the some 5-6 pages has written by somebody and that's all without applying any mind. there is no more mention of quantification for this city, that much size of the facility should be, storage facility should be there. In the storage facilities, this should be there. So, either on the population basis, either on the this thing basis, the solar importance basis. Environmental and risk, they are totally missing. Their mitigation is totally missing. If at all happen, see, we put the industry, and whenever we industry put, we take the risk management also in the industry. All provisions for the risk management. If at all this happen, then what will be the risk management of this thing? कोई no methodology, as Sanjeev ji told very clearly, there should be end of life, means we have to take out all the precious materials, all the plastic, all the glass separately, though no methodology has been given. So I think this is very basic. Now I think then, like collection, transportation, storage, these are very simple ways they have said ki you collect, transport, precautionary, and storage. So I think this is not the guidelines. In my opinion, these are not the guidelines.
Khandelwal ji will come back to you, and I think this
Yeah.
that's
If
what they said,
somebody can
version
tell
one.
us, no, version one, for at least they should mention the stakeholders, na?
Yeah.
Sanjeev ji very rightly said ki individuals, nowadays so many apparatus are coming, so many lights are coming with solar panels. Where should that go? How they
It
will be
should
collected?
be guidelines should be, I mean, with the kind of a SOP also, that way should be there.
Yes.
Like
Okay,
for each
thank you.
category, what should be follow
Yeah.
SOP should be followed for that, actually. That way. So thank you. We'll come back to you again. So I
Sure.
request Ajita Agrawal, my colleague earlier in the DPCC Environment Department. So because she was also handling the waste, or particularly waste also in the DPCC. She was additional director at DPCC, and recently last year she retired from the, and is still active in the field. So over to Ajita Agrawal, madam. Yeah.
Anil, frankly, I haven't read the guidelines yet.
Oh,
But
but your general
yeah,
view, or maybe that, but you
yeah.
are listening to all the other
So
speakers. That was
I actually I'm new to the group. I was in the group, but I never attended the meeting. I'm so sorry for that. But I just want to understand. Suppose if we identify this kind of a situation where the SOPs are not there, and Khandelwal ji has very well stated what are the things. So what this group does, like, do we write to the government, or like we have so what's the
Ajita, what was we have written to so many times, but
Mhm.
never acknowledged by even Ministry of Environment or the CPCB or the Ministry of Urban Development. So that when KK Agarwal was there, I had written so many letters every for the that
Mhm.
and for the our suggestions, that was he, and also the after that also. But we are not, they have considered or not, even the we don't know that. So
Hmm.
here,
Right.
the government, I mean, that was it. Nobody, I mean, until unless not replied that you have considered your suggestion and things like. So I mean, not right moment, not writing that, but just through open forum. I mean, that was this is because it goes to maybe many experts. So concern is to more on the awareness side, because no government never they have replied our suggestions and letters.
There
That was
is
it.
some disturbance in the line, I suppose. Yeah, okay. Um, that it was a very generic kind of uh, uh, you know, guidelines. Because I thought this is as good as for any other e-waste. Hello,
Ajita,
Dr. Anil, there is some issue with
yeah,
the, yeah. So,
maybe.
so I was saying ki,
I think I'll come back to you again, Ajita madam. Yeah.
yeah.
So आई कम बैक टू सो मैं डॉक्टर रविंदर से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, इफ यू कैन डॉक्टर साहब, यू कैन जस्ट टू आई मीन व्हाट वर योर व्यूज एंड यू हैव लिसन टू अर्लियर स्पीकर्स आल्सो एंड दी दैट वाज ओवर टू डॉक्टर रविंदर कुमार।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर अनिल। अर्लियर स्पीकर ने काफ़ी अच्छे से डिटेल में समझाया है। ऑफ कोर्स गाइडलाइन में अभी बहुत सारी त्रुटियां हैं, लेकिन मुझे जो लग रहा है कि ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर में स्पेशली सोलर टेक्नोलॉजी जो है, हाईवेज, रेलवेज और इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल चार्जिंग स्टेशंस, एयरपोर्ट और इनलैंड वाटरवेज, वहाँ पे जो एक जनरेशन हो रही है ये सोलर वेस्ट की, तो वो एक जो ई वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट रूल है और सीपीसीबी की जो गाइडलाइन है, एक तरह से एक फ्रेमवर्क दिया हुआ है उन्होंने, अभी डिटेल नहीं है। फ्रेमवर्क में यह है कि साउंड मैनेजमेंट ऑफ सोलर वेस्ट कैसे करेंगे, बट
इट्स वेरी जेनरिक है, कॉन्सेप्ट नोट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स लाइक दैट
कंसेप्ट
बेसिकली।
नोट है, प्रोविजन ऑफ लैंड फिलिंग है, सिक्योर स्टोरेज कैसे करना है, हजार्डस प्रिवेंशन, ऑथराइज रिसाइकलिंग, ट्रांसपोर्ट स्टैंडर्ड्स क्या है। सोलर एडॉप्शन इन ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर की जब बात करते हैं तो ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर जो है काफ़ी इमर्जिंग सेक्टर है और काफ़ी एनर्जी कंज्यूम हो रही है सोलर से। और इंडिया में पेरिस एग्रीमेंट के अंदर में हमारा नेट जीरो टारगेट भी है, और सोलर इंटीग्रेशन जो है एक तरह से रेल, रोड और वाटर और एविएशन डोमेन सबको लेते हुए और ध्यान रखते हुए देखना है कि इस सारे सेक्टर में जो हमारे नेट जीरो टारगेट है उसमें कैसे होगा। तो रेलवेज जैसे है, रेलवे इज एडवांसिंग टुवर्ड्स its goal of achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2030, and they have a key initiative like installation of solar rooftop system at railway stations and administrative buildings. Then they have deployed the solar panel along the railway track and production units such as बनारस लोकोमोटिव जो है वहाँ पे उन्होंने लगाया है। सोलर पावर ट्रेन कोचेज ऑन हेरिटेज रूट सच एज कालका शिमला, पठानकोट, जोगिंदर नगर, एंड देन एडॉप्शन ऑफ सोलर एनर्जी टू पावर सिग्नलिंग सिस्टम, जो पावर सिग्नलिंग सिस्टम है स्टेशन ऑपरेशंस में काम आ रहे हैं। तो दीज इनिशिएटिव जनरेटेड लॉन्ग टर्म solar waste that must be managed under the new guideline. And then highway and road transport, we have National Highway Authority of India. They are promoting the solar power infrastructures along the national highways. And the key application includes like solar power street lighting and traffic signal. आपका ईस्टर्न पेरिफेरियल एक्सप्रेसवे था सर, आप जिसकी स्टडी हमने करी थी, that was fully solar power, light was there. So, like that, there are several initiatives are being done at toll plaza and wayside amenities, and then there are they are trying to include into the development of solar EV charging stations and green highway initiative. तो काफ़ी जगह ग्रीन हाईवे जो उन्होंने बनाया है वहाँ पे जो ईवी चार्जिंग हो रही है वो दैट इज थ्रू द सोलर पावर. So such installation is generating the significant quantity of photovoltaic cells and waste over the time, and necessitating the efficient reverse logistics system. Similarly, electric mobility में solar power EV charging infrastructure is expanding, aligning the national initiative जो हमारा नेशनल इलेक्ट्रिक ई मोबिलिटी प्लान है और फेम इंडिया स्कीम है, इसमें जो है सोलर इंटीग्रेटेड डिपोज जो बस की हो रही है, जो बस की डिपो है वो सोलर इंटीग्रेटेड है। और इससे क्या हो रहा है कि हमारे जो कमिंग जो फॉसिल फ्यूल की डिपेंडेंसी है वो कम हो रही है। इनलैंड वाटर ट्रांसपोर्ट में भी इंडिया फर्स्ट सोलर पावर फेरी आदित्य जो नाम है केरला में शुरू हुआ है, and there are viability of solar energy in water transport, and similar initiative are being explored in sustainable inland water navigation system. एयर एंड लॉजिस्टिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में सर सोलर पावर एयरपोर्ट है, कोचिन इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट, एक मॉडल एयरपोर्ट है जहाँ पे सोलर पावर एयरपोर्ट बना है ये। सो इस तरह से जो डेवलपमेंट हो रही है दिखा रहा है कि आने वाले समय में इसकी लाइफ साइकिल मैनेजमेंट जो है सोलर जो भी इंस्टॉलेशन है ये बहुत ज़रूरी है। इंडिया का जो सोलर कैपेसिटी है 100 गीगावाट को क्रॉस कर चुका है, और इसके चलते जो वेस्ट है काफ़ी होंगे, जो वेस्ट फ्रॉम डिकमीशन पैनल है एक्सपेक्टेड टू राइज, सो इसमें ये कहा जा रहा है कि प्रोजेक्टेड जो सॉलिड सोलर वेस्ट है 2030 तक 6 लाख टन का है। आने वाले 2047 तक 11,000 किलो टन तक हमारा प्रोजेक्टेड सोलर वेस्ट होना है। मेजर वेस्ट जो कंट्रीब्यूट हो रहे हैं राजस्थान, गुजरात, कर्नाटका, आंध्र प्रदेश और तमिलनाडु। और रिसाइकलिंग पोटेंशियल है 38% ऑफ मटेरियल डिमांड ऑफ न्यू पैनल कुड बी मेट थ्रू रिसाइकलिंग। सो जैसे पिछले स्पीकर ने बताया कि रिसाइकलिंग की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है कि इसमें कैसे हम सिलिकॉन, सिल्वर, कॉपर, एल्युमिनियम, ग्लास और क्रिटिकल रिसोर्स जो मेटल है उसको हम कैसे सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी को ध्यान में रखते हुए इसको हम इंक्लूड कर सकें। लाइफ साइकिल मैनेजमेंट जो है बहुत एसेंशियल है सोलर वेस्ट का। और इसमें जो है हमें ये ध्यान देने की ज़रूरत है कि जो सॉइल और ग्राउंड वाटर कंटेमिनेशन होता है हैवी मेटल के थ्रू, इससे बचे। सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी के थ्रू हम लोग जो वैल्यूएबल मटेरियल है उसको रीयूज कर सके। सस्टेनेबल हाईवे जो ग्रीन मोबिलिटी और क्लाइमेट रेजिलियंस सिस्टम बन रहा है उसमें इस्तेमाल काफ़ी हो। कॉस्ट इफिशिएंसी हो, लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वायरमेंटल जो लाइबिलिटीज़ है उसको ऑप्टिमाइज कर सकें। रेगुलेटरी कंप्लायंस जो है, नेशनल इन्वायरमेंटल लॉज जो है उसको हम ध्यान में रखें। ग्रीन रेटिंग और सर्टिफिकेशन जो है ESG कंप्लायंस और ग्रीन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर्स का है उसको ध्यान में रखें। तो हालांकि काफ़ी चीज़ें हमारे अभी फ्रेमवर्क में हैं, जैसे लिमिटेड रिसाइकलिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और टेक्निकल कैपेबिलिटी, अभी वो सब ज़रूरत है। हाई ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट है रिमोट सोलर इंस्टॉलेशन की। लैक ऑफ स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड डिसमेंटलिंग प्रोटोकॉल्स फॉर ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर इंस्टॉलेशंस। low economic viability of recycling under current market condition, insufficient awareness and capacity among the transportation agency। सो इसको ध्यान में रखते हुए एक ज़रूरत है कि इस्टेब्लिश डेडिकेटेड सोलर वेस्ट रिसाइकलिंग हब हो। जितने ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉरिडोर हैं, नेशनल हाईवे और जो रेलवे है, हमारा एयरपोर्ट है या पोर्ट है, और इंटीग्रेटेड सोलर वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट का एक DPR होना चाहिए। इन्वायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट में इसको इंक्लूड किया जाना चाहिए। प्राइवेट पब्लिक पार्टनरशिप की बात करिए, जैसे खंडेलवाल जी ने, कि अभी गाइडलाइन में बहुत सारी चीज़ें मिसिंग हैं, उसको कैसे प्रमोट किया जाए, रिसाइकलिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को सुधारा जाए और रिवर्स लॉजिस्टिक नेटवर्क को डेवलप किया जाए, जैसे हाईवे, रेलवेज और EVs चार्जिंग स्टेशन हैं। साथ साथ बहुत सारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस को भी रिसाइकलिंग टेक्नोलॉजी पे ध्यान देने की ज़रूरत है, जिससे कि हम अभी और भी बहुत सारे जो क्रिटिकल मिनरल रिकवरी है और सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी है उसकी इनिशिएटिव को और इम्प्रूव करने की ज़रूरत है। और ओवरऑल जो है सोलर वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट जो है ग्रीन हाईवे और स्मार्ट मोबिलिटी पॉलिसी का हिस्सा होना चाहिए। हम ये देखना चाह रहे हैं कि आने वाले जो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट है, कार्बन मोबिलिटी है, उसमें सोलर टेक्नोलॉजी को कैसे हम बेस्ट तरीके से लाइफ साइकिल मैनेजमेंट ऑफ फोटो वोल्टेइक वेस्ट को इस्तेमाल करते हुए और करंट गाइडलाइन में सुधार करते हुए कंप्रेहेंसिव फ्रेमवर्क इसकी और बनाने की ज़रूरत है, ताकि जो है इसको प्रॉपर तरीके से सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी का जो प्रिंसिपल है और ट्रांसपोर्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर्स में कैसे हम इसको यूज़ कर सकें सोलर वेस्ट को। ये बड़ा इन्वायरमेंटल चैलेंज है और टेक्निकल इनोवेशन की ज़रूरत है इसमें। सो ओवरऑल हम ये देख रहे हैं कि अभी गाइडलाइन में काफ़ी समस्याएं हैं, लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स नेट जीरो और ग्रीन मोबिलिटी और रिजिलियंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के दिशा में देखा जाए तो एक एक छोटा सा कदम है जो हम उम्मीद करेंगे कि अभी और इसको सुधारा जा सकता है। थैंक यू।
Thank you, Ravindra ji. बहुत ही very comprehensively covered the area and the particularly transportation sectors and they all related to mobility and things like. So thank you so much definitely. So मैं अब नीरज जी से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा। नीरज जी, just your view. I mean, दो previous speakers have spoken about दो different issues and what are your views? I mean, what are your suggestions? That over to नीरज जी।
जी नमस्कार, आभार मुझे बुलाने का। और जैसे कि खंडेलवाल जी ने भी बहुत कुछ बोला कि इसमें मेथोडोलॉजी नहीं दी गई है प्रॉपरली, और गाइडलाइन आपने भी बोला, डॉक्टर अनिल कुमार जी ने भी, कि गाइडेंस फॉर SOP शुड बी देयर। और अजीता जी ने भी कुछ बोला, तो डॉक्टर रविंद्र कुमार जी तो उन्होंने काफ़ी विस्तार से बताया, उनके पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट बताए। मैं तो यहाँ ये कहना चाहूंगा कि जो गाइडलाइन है ये मोटे तौर पे तो जो की एस्पेक्ट है कि स्टोरेज एंड हैंडलिंग सोलर वेस्ट मस्ट बी kept in covered ventilated area with non-leachable impervious flooring to protect against heavy metal leakage. और जो सेफ्टी प्रोटोकॉल्स हैं कि डैमेज मॉड्यूल मस्ट बी स्टोर्ड इन लेबल्ड वाटर रेजिस्टेंट कंटेनर्स, उस पर लेबलिंग होनी चाहिए. ईपीआर एंड रिसाइकलिंग प्रोड्यूसर मस्ट रजिस्टर एस्टेब्लिश्ड टेक बैक मैकेनिज्म एंड यूज ऑथोराइज्ड रिसाइकलर्स. इसके अलावा ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के ऊपर भी कि वो कवर्ड व्हीकल में हो. लेकिन इसमें कुछ एस्पेक्ट हैं जो कि थोड़ा सा मिसिंग है गाइडलाइंस में. एक सबसे बड़ी जो चीज है कि डिलेड रिसाइकलिंग. जो गाइडलाइंस हैं, these guidelines mandate storing waste until 2034-35, postponing the development of immediate scalable recycling infrastructure. 34-35 तक पोस्टपोन कर दिया, तो इसमें ये रिसाइकलिंग का जो प्रोसेस है ये डिले हो जाएगा. इसके अलावा जो इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर है, रूल्स लार्जली फेल टू रेगुलेट द इनफॉर्म, उनको रेगुलेट करने की जरूरत है. विच ऑफन हैंडल्स वेस्ट, वो अपने तरीके से एनवायरमेंटली फ्रेंडली नहीं होते, वो एनवायरमेंटली हार्मफुल वेज में भी वो हैंडल करते हैं. तो वो उस पर भी एक मॉनिटरिंग की जरूरत है. टारगेट्स की जरूरत है. करेंट टीपीआर फ्रेमवर्क फॉर सोलर वेस्ट लाइक stringent mandated recycling targets for producers. इसके अलावा insufficient authorized recycling facilities are available to handle the projected volume of waste. जो deferred recycling obligation है under chapter 5 of the 2022 rules, producers and manufacturers are only required to store solar waste until the financial year 2034-35. अब ये जो डिले है, इससे जो इमीडिएट डेवलपमेंट होना चाहिए था उसमें एक हर्डल आ रहा है. ये सारी चीजें इमीडिएट एक्शन रिक्वायरमेंट थी, और इनको एज देयर आर नो एक्टिव मैंडेटरी रिसाइकलिंग टारगेट फॉर सोलर मॉड्यूल्स करेंटली, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेफिसिट है. देयर इज सिग्निफिकेंट लैक ऑफ स्पेशलाइज्ड सोलर स्पेसिफिक रिसाइकलिंग फैसिलिटीज इन इंडिया. Critics highlight that current infrastructure is primarily designed for general e-waste and is not equipped to handle the complex energy intensive process of separating solar panel layers to recover high value materials. बहुत कॉस्टली मटेरियल्स होते हैं, उनकी रिकवरी का भी कुछ इसमें सिस्टम होना चाहिए. और इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी पे भी क्वेश्चन उठता है, क्योंकि जो ब्रिटिश सेफ्टी काउंसिल है, मैं तो सेफ्टी प्रोफेशनल भी रहा हूं, तो उस लिहाज से मैं थोड़ा इसको भी स्टडी किया. जो एक्सपर्ट हैं ब्रिटिश सेफ्टी काउंसिल के, वो नोट करते हैं कि दैट सोलर साइक्लिंग इज करेंटली नॉट कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव इन इंडिया. देयर इज ए नेगेटिव कॉस्ट डिफरेंशियल ऑफ 5% to 15% between the value of recovered materials like low quality glass and the high cost of specialized transportation and recycling. ये ब्रिटिश सेफ्टी काउंसिल ने इसको फाइंड आउट किया है इंडिया के लिए. इसके अलावा जो इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर का जो डोमिनेंस है, ए मेजर पोर्शन ऑफ सोलर वेस्ट कंटिन्यूज टू बी हैंडल्ड बाय अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर which often uses unscientific and hazardous dismantling methods. ये जो current guidelines हैं, they do not sufficiently hold this informal sector accountability or provide enough incentives for them to transition to formal safe practices. इसके अलावा जो ग्रेनुलर डाटा है, देयर इज लैक ऑफ ग्रेनुलर डाटा. इंडिपेंडेंट जो थिंक टैंक्स है हमारे, जैसे काउंसिल ऑफ एनर्जी एनवायरनमेंट एंड वाटर, CEEW, उन्होंने एम्फेसाइज किया है कि क्रिटिकल गैप इंडिया के जो में रहता है वो है ग्रेनुलर डाटा रिगार्डिंग द स्पेशल एंड टेम्पोरल जनरेशन ऑफ सोलर वेस्ट. विदाउट एक्यूरेट डाटा, इट इज डिफिकल्ट टू डिजाइन इफेक्टिव पॉलिसी or mechanism or deploy infrastructure where it is most needed. Segregation, storage facility, transportation, worker safety, ये तो गाइडलाइन में दिया ही हुआ है. लेकिन ये जो पॉइंट्स हैं जो मैंने अभी आपके सामने रखे हैं, अब इन शॉर्ट मैं यही कहना चाहूंगा कि इन पे भी ध्यान दिया जाए. और जैसे खंडेलवाल जी ने कहा ही है कि मेथोडोलॉजी के ऊपर थोड़ा सा और इसको इलेबोरेट किया जाए। मैं बस इतना ही कहना चाहूंगा।
थैंक यू नीरज जी। मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा सुभाष जी से, योर समिंग अब्यूज जो है आपका, आपने सबको सुना, आपके अकॉर्डिंगली जस्ट टू, इफ यू कैन जस्ट टू फ्यू वर्ड्स एंड समिंग अप जो है आपके फाइनल सीनियर पर्सन व्यूज दैट वाज दी समिंग अप व्यू। ओवर टू सुभाष चंद्रा जी।
नमस्ते डॉक्टर साहब, मैं तो इसमें एक स्टूडेंट हूँ और बहुत अच्छा
हम
डिस्कशन
सब
हुआ
सर, सभी
एक्चुअली।
सभी स्टूडेंट हैं, हम ऑलवेज, जो हम टेक्निकल लोग जो भी होते हैं सभी लर्निंग में होते हैं। नोबडी इज एक्सपर्ट। हमें क्या, हमारा ग्रुप एक्सपर्ट का है, नाम है उसका एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप ऑफ
जी
एनवायरनमेंट, बट वी आर ऑल नॉट एक्सपर्ट, वी आर ऑलवेज इन लर्निंग, ऑल आवर स्टूडेंट दैट वो सर।
मैं इसमें ये कहना चाहूँगा कि जैसे सभी ने बहुत अच्छे अपने विचार रखे ये रूल्स पर, लेकिन ये इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स इशू है और इसकी प्रैक्टिकलिटी बहुत देखना जरूरी है कि कैसे, जिस पर हम जिम्मेदारी डाल रहे हैं वो कैसे इसको पूरा करें, और उनका कंसल्टेशन हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है, और इसको डायनेमिक रखना चाहिए, क्योंकि कई बार होता है ना कि जो लोग, जिन लोगों को हमने जिम्मेदारी दी है, उनकी समस्याएं हम समझ पा रहे हैं कि नहीं। और सोलर एनर्जी का इतना ज़्यादा स्कोप है, मैंने राजस्थान में काफ़ी एरिया विजिट किए, और अभी मैं जैसे बड़े कॉम्प्लेक्सेज में जाता हूँ, छत्तीसगढ़, मध्य प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, जहाँ भी बड़े बड़े स्कूल्स बने हैं, आप देखिए नवोदय हैं, जब ये एकलव्य स्कूल हैं, और बहुत बड़े बड़े इंडस्ट्रियल कॉम्प्लेक्सेज हैं। अगर वो सोलर पे मूव करें तो इससे बहुत ज़्यादा एनर्जी की सेविंग्स होगी, और हमारा मतलब कोल पर भी थोड़ा सा उससे रिलीफ मिलेगा, कोल यूज में। और दूसरा, जो फ्यूल का हमारा कंजम्पशन है, स्पेशली अभी जो देख करके मिडिल ईस्ट की जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, तो कहीं ना कहीं सोलर पे हमें इन्वेस्ट करना ही होगा, और उस पे R&D भी ऐसी चले कि हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा एफिशिएंसी बढ़ा सकें।
हाँ,
इसको
रिसाइकलिंग
देखते
पे भी
हुए
सर फोकस हो, बिकॉज जब तक रिसाइकलिंग,
जी
वेस्ट रिसाइकलिंग नहीं होगा तो अदरवाइज कॉस्ट बढ़ती जाएगी, वेस्ट भी जो एक्यूमुलेट होता जाएगा, तो दोनों
हाँ
साथ 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 में
जी,
रिसाइकलिंग टेक्नोलॉजी पे भी फोकस होता है।
और रिसाइकलिंग जो है वो साथ में चले, ऐसा नहीं कि ये हो जाए फिर रिसाइकलिंग पे जाएं। अभी तो वेस्ट को साथ ही साथ हमें रिसाइकलिंग पर देना पड़ेगा, और उसमें जो जो समस्याएं आ रही हैं उसको हमें साथ के साथ उसको हैंडल करना पड़ेगा। और कुछ इसमें पायलट्स भी रन कर सकते हैं, कुछ जहाँ बड़े कॉम्प्लेक्सेज हैं ना, उसमें पायलट्स भी देखें कि कैसे उसमें क्या समस्याएं आ रही हैं, उसमें मतलब कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर या पब्लिक को, ये PSUs को साथ में आना पड़ेगा कि कैसे हम इसको प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी, मतलब रिसाइकलिंग में प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी भी है, क्योंकि माइंस का मेरा अनुभव कहता है कि मिनरल रिसाइकलिंग इज पॉसिबल एंड इट इज़ वेरी इकोनॉमिकल आल्सो, क्योंकि एल्युमिनियम को जहां हम करते हैं, एल्युमिनियम की प्रोडक्शन पे जो कॉस्ट होती है उसको रिसाइकलिंग में बहुत, उसका एक फ्रैक्शन रह जाता है। तो ये देखते हुए हमारा पर्टिकुलरली जो टेक्नोलॉजिकल इंस्टीट्यूशन है, IITs हैं, और इन सबको हाथ मतलब साथ में लेकर के अपने सपोर्ट करना चाहिए कि रिसाइकलिंग को साथ साथ करें। उसका जो कंपोनेंट्स वाइज जो बताया गया है, जिसमें स्टोर कंपोनेंट्स वाइज उसको सेग्रीगेशन, स्टोरेज, और उसको रिसाइकिल करते हुए इसको जो वेस्ट को प्रॉपर हैंडलिंग की जरूरत है। और ये हमारे हमारे देश की जो समस्याएं हैं, जैसे गार्बेज को लेकर के, इसको एक पार्ट ऑफ गार्बेज मान लेते हैं, जो नहीं होना चाहिए, क्योंकि एक हमारा बहुत बड़ा मतलब वैल्यूएबल रिसोर्स है, और उतनी सीरियसनेस इसमें चाहिए। मैं बस इतना ही कहूंगा कि ये अभी
यस सर,
शुरुआत की है मिनिस्ट्री ने, तो हमें इसमें मतलब हो सकता है जैसे जैसे उनको इसमें लर्निंग्स होंगी वो उसको इम्प्रूव करेंगे, बट एट द सेम टाइम जो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं और जो रिसाइकलिंग यूनिट्स हैं उनको भी एक पार्टनरशिप या कोलेबोरेशन मोड में रहना चाहिए। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू। आई थिंक सुभाष जी ने काफ़ी समय, अगर फ्यूचर में किस तरह का होना चाहिए, है ना। और किसी के कोई और व्यूज हों 1-2 मिनट के लिए, तो वी कैन टेक अप, जो है कोई अगर।
Yes, sir. I would just like to
या
give a clarification to there is some confusion looks like. This SOP is for the solar voltaic cell, which generally is the major component for any module, solar module. This SOP is under the electronic waste rule. There is a complete detailed of each thing either under the electronic waste and or in the hazardous waste. So this particular guideline talks about how to handle the solar waste, which is collection, transportation, and putting it to for the further treatment or refinement or disposal. Most of the things are attached to the producer right now. Few of the speakers also already spoke about the informal sector and the challenges in the recycling component, which is already there in the e-waste. So the present guideline is only limiting to collection, transportation of this solar waste, and how to see that this particular waste is now meeting or compatible or is eligible to be treated as waste. So there is an inspection table provided at the last of this. So just for understanding that this is only a guideline. This is already a subset of e-waste where details have already been given, and certain portion it says if it does not get disposed, it should go to the TSDF. So hazardous waste is already defined there.
But Sanjeev ji, according to my view, considering the huge quantity of waste, hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hearing you.
Considering huge quantity of waste and particularly future, I think the solar end of life solar waste should be a separate rule, because so many things like end of life vehicle and things like it should be separate rule, should not be, though some things may be common like electronic waste, but should be a separate rules for the end of life solar waste, because these are a mix of kind of all the glass and the plastic, and any producer manufacturer, you know, that they are not going to see the different rules and things like it should be complete. All chapters should be for maybe for glass, maybe for plastic, maybe for metals, and there should be separate rules so that the whatever producer, manufacturer, and recycler, they clearly understand, they follow the rules and compliance is there. Otherwise, mix of rules, you know that.
का माइक म्यूट पे है शायद.
आवाज नहीं आ रही क्या? हेलो?
आ रही है.
अच्छा, अजिता को शायद थोड़ा सा आवाज नहीं आ रही हो, अजिता का लाइन का होगा. सो मेरा ये इन फ्यूचर आई थिंक शुड बी ए वेरी independent rules for this end of life solar waste, that way, according to me, my view, that way.
जी, आप एक्चुअल में सही कह रहे हैं कि ई वेस्ट कैटेगराइजेशन होना चाहिए, मतलब ये सोलर वाला अलग और वो ई वेस्ट का अलग होना चाहिए. क्योंकि सोलर में
अभी तो ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं.
सर, फिर
But it should be separate.
then the debate goes that ki should we have waste for fridges, should we have waste ruler for ACs? So many things.
That is covered e-waste.
Solar panel is sir, solar panel is mainly glass.
Yeah.
And if glass is recoverable and can be used for some other purpose by melting or some other metal, why it should be termed as a waste?
No, not waste. I mean, because this is not covered under electronic waste, because glass and plastic. So that's what because there's so many components, not only electronics part.
Then it becomes MSW.
लेड कैडमियम आर्सेनिक भी होता है इसमें, लेड कैडमियम आर्सेनिक.
तो इसलिए इसके सेपरेट रूल्स हैं. मिक्स हो सकता है, कुछ पार्ट इसमें इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वेस्ट में आता हो, कुछ आता म्युनिसिपल वेस्ट में आ जाता हो, कुछ हजारस वेस्ट में आ जाता है.
That is why the regulation is classifying as two things. One is CEW 14 under Schedule 1 of the e-waste management rules, where one of the 106 listed electricals and electronic equipments may this gets covered. But seeing the gigantic problem which is coming up may be considered. But right now, if as a regulator you look at, then this is covered there. This is coming up as a big problem. Obviously, the others are also coming up as a big problem. But
for a proper implement point of view, say proper enforcement point of view, I'm saying that it should be, because there's so many things like, and should be covered. It should be because the all like producers or manufacturer or recycler, how they, I mean, so this is a kind of so many things. It should be under the one rule, one set of rules, maybe different chapters. Maybe this may be overlapping with the other rules also, but should be in future should be there. This is my view that way.
Sure, sir.
Basically Sanjeev ji is missing is who is the stakeholder for this.
Stakeholder is right now they have put the entire onus under EPR for the producer. If
no,
you
no.
see the last movement of all the last 5 years, the way EPR is now being carried, that key polluter pay principle defines that key, if you are a producer, you are accountable for what you are just selling out to the market. You are just not can be a salesman.
That is for the EPR purposes. But who will be the collector? Who will be the transporter? EPR will not, if the agency producer will not be the
same,
collector,
sir.
producer cannot be
It
the
is same
transporter.
for the household waste also. They
So
are who
that
is
is
the
why.
collector? The ULB is the collector. So in
So-
the case of solar waste also, it comes under the waste which is either ULB or the regulator.
So that is why I'm telling you. So there should be some guidelines for this quantification and all those things in the guidelines.
No, guideline is separate. The CPCB guideline right now, what has got published is a guideline. There will be a subsequent SOPs for each other. There is a difference between guideline and SOP. Guideline only gives you the way how it can be done. SOP is a procedure. So lot of procedures have to be done. This needs to be bifurcated, because on the solar waste, I believe there are 10 or 15 numbers of one such study I just came to know from Neeraj Tyagi sir, is that British Safety Division has done.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you, there are so many and there can be more. But guideline per se is only to tell who is to be accountable for. The producer is accountable and how he is supposed to do, where he is set to, that is e-waste and hazardous waste. These are the three things which is given in the guideline. It also talks about how the waste can be termed as a waste, that is about the inspection.
So, thank you. I think we had good discussion today, and I think because it's such a topic, we can go even further, half an hour, 1 hour. But considering the day of the Sunday and the maybe lunch time, I thank all the speakers today. We had very good interaction and discussion on the subject, and the all the speakers today present, particularly our waste management experts, संजीव जी एंड खंडेलवाल जी एंड ऑल अदर, जो सब लोगों ने बहुत डिटेल्स में वी हैव इंटरेक्शन एंड डिस्कशन. तो कंसीडरिंग दिस इज गुड टॉपिक, एंड होपफुली गवर्नमेंट विल डू लॉट ऑफ द अमेंडमेंट रिक्वायर्ड फॉर प्रैक्टिकल enforcement purpose, that will, I think, will come in the maybe SOP and things like. So big thanking all, and on behalf of the SCFI, Dr. KK SCFI, and also this expert group of environment, thanks all the speakers and the viewers. We'll come back with the new topic in the maybe the sometime in coming Sunday. Thank you all. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Namaskar.
you.
Namaskar.
Namaste. Thank you.